Good evening, everybody. Hello, attention. I've got the gavel's missing, so it's me with a loud voice. Welcome, everybody, on this heatwave evening. Thanks everybody for attending the annual meeting of the Fire Authority. It is turned over now to 6:30 actually, so we can officially start the meeting. For those that know me, I'm Councillor Paul Gittins. I'm the current Vice Chair of the Fire Authority, and I'm obviously opening the meeting. My first and only job while sitting here is to seek nominations for the Chair of the Authority for the next municipal year. So may I seek nominations? Councillor Werner.
Thank you very much. I'd like to nominate Jeff Brooks for our new chairman.
May I have a seconder? Councillor Shepherd Dubay.
I will second it. I will second it.
I did want to say all those in favour of that nomination. It's the only nomination actually, so we don't actually have to vote.
Unless there are any other.
Sorry, was there any other nominations? We're going to get the procedure right.
Councillor Brooks is appointed.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Councillor Brooks is appointed. Well done.
Thank you, everybody. Perhaps it was just as well there wasn't a vote. I might not have got enough votes. Thank you for your continued support. As I'm now going to be given the script here. I'm allowed to say, having been elected, I have to take office. So, I, Councillor Jeff Brooks, have been elected to the office of Chair of Royal Berkshire Fire Authority, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Now I'm allowed to thank you for placing your confidence in me and stating it's an honour and privilege to lead the Fire Authority. Happy with that, Graham? Okay. Anything else? I've got my script here. I must do the Vice Chairman. I will sign my declaration of office here. Declaration of acceptance. And may I now seek nominations for Vice Chair of the Authority? Thank you, Councillor Brown. Do I have a seconder? I'm happy to second that myself, but Councillor Griffiths, I'll bow to you seconding that. Do we have any other nominations? Well, Paul, like me, you've got two supporters. Which get over the line.
That's always good to know, and thanks everybody for your support. I've also got to do the official bit of that. I, Councillor Paul Gittins, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of Royal Berkshire Fire Authority, declare that I take that office upon myself and duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Okay. Well, members, before we go into the meeting proper, I know it's scorching outside and we're in here doing the business of the Fire Authority. But just think of it this way. When we get out of here at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, could be 10 o'clock, Councillor Palmer, I know you're it will be cool when you get home. How about that? But I would like to welcome Councillor Ing-Siu Hong and Councillor Palmer as new members of the Authority. And welcome. I think you'll find that there isn't a lot of politics here. Not much at all, really, unless we fancy a scrap now and again. But the service is extremely well run. We are supported extremely well by our officers. The training you will receive will be second to none, and we welcome you and we hope you'll enjoy your period with us. I'm now going back 31 years, so something's quite right, I think, for me to hang around that long. Councillor Bellin, did you want to come in?
No, just admiring the Green councillor joining us. Behind you.
Ah,
No, he isn't.
now listen, he's going to try and put his hand up the back of my jacket. I'm not going to see him, Michaela, if he indicates, so. Video. Do we have apologies for absence, please?
Yes, Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Mackenzie Boyle, Councillor Drummond, Councillor Satie and Councillor Blundell. Councillor McElroy is joining us online.
Yes, thank you for that. Declarations of interest. Do any members have declarations of interest of any item on the agenda this evening? Okay, minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of April. Paul, I've got them here. Are there any comments on the minutes? I'm happy to propose them from the chair. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pennyworth, thank you very much. All those in favour? The minutes have been carried. I'll sign them after the meeting. Okay. Do we have any petitions and questions from the public? Understanding orders 1925. Okay. And then to my receipt of announcements. You're all about to receive my announcements. Members, you'll all be aware of a tragic incident that occurred in Bicester, Oxfordshire, on the evening of the Thursday, 15th of May. We were deeply saddened to learn that 3 people, Martin Sadler, Jenny Logan and Dave Chester, lost their lives as a result of the incident. Our heartfelt sympathies remain with their friends, families. Martin Sadler started his career here in Berkshire and spent more than 15 years working across the county before taking on a new whole-time role with London Fire Brigade. At the time of the incident, Martin was serving alongside Jenny as an on-call firefighter with Oxfordshire Fire and Rescue Service. Martin was a highly valued member of the service and a dedicated public servant who showed courage and determination throughout his career. I know that his loss is being felt greatly across our service. As a colleague, he lost his life. On behalf of the authority, I would like to invite members to join me in observing a minute's silence for Martin, Jenny and Dane. Would you please stand? Thank you, members. Over the past few weeks, the service has been offering additional support to staff, including those in Thames Valley Fire Control, who have been affected by this tragic incident. Staff have also organised a series of fundraisers to raise money for the firefighters' charity in honour of Martin and Jenny. Firefighters at Slough and Bracknell have car washes that have raised several £1000s for the charity. Meanwhile, Red Watch from Whitley Wood took on the Three Peaks Challenge in full fire kit in memory of Martin and Jenny. If you'd like to support the Red Watch, their fundraising page is still open and will be shared around following this meeting. Welcome and farewells to members. As I said earlier, we welcome members of Councillor Gilbert Palmer from Slough Borough Council and Councillor Andy Ing Su Hong from Woking Borough. I'd also like to say farewell to two members on behalf of the authority, Councillor Lou Timlin and Councillor Harjun Gahir. Both Councillor Timlin and Councillor Gahir have been in the authority for the 24-25 unitary year. We thank them for their valuable contribution to the authority. We wish them both all the best in the future. The whole time graduation ceremony, I'm grateful to the Vice Chair for standing in for me while I was on holiday. It took place on the 20th of June. We welcomed 12 new Hong Kong firefighters into its ranks. After months of training at the Fire Service College and at our new Learning and Development Centre, the graduates showed off their new skills in front of their friends and families at Maidenhead Fire Station. In between their rigorous training programme, the recruits also upheld a long-standing tradition amongst new cohorts and completed a fundraising challenge in support of the firefighters' charity. This time, the cohort cycled the equivalent of approximately 485 miles on static bikes at the Lexington in Barrow. In their incredible effort, the graduates raised over £6,000 for firefighters' charity. I'm sure members will join me in congratulating them all on this fantastic achievement. Following the graduation ceremony, the apprentices have now taken up their station placements across the county. I'm sure members will join me in welcoming you. The opening of the new Learning and Development Centre. After over a year of work at the site, the Services New Learning and Development Centre of Whitley Wood will officially open on Friday, the 25th of July. The new facility, built by Premium Modular Limited, represents a significant investment by the Fire Authority into the service and its staff. I don't know if you've all seen the new building or seen it in a photograph. It looks pretty darn good. As Fire Authority members, you're all invited to the opening ceremony and should have received an invite by your RBFRS emails. If you haven't and you'd like to attend, please contact the Communication Engagement Team, Christian and Mark, as soon as possible. In April, we marked the 10-year anniversary of Thames Valley Fire Control Service. The Tri-Service Centre is based here in Berkshire, where colleagues work 24/7 answering emergency calls from the public. From here, staff mobilise fire engines on behalf of the Free Fire and Rescue Services to incidents across the Thames Valley, serving a combined population of more than 2 million people. Throughout April, we ran a series of events across the Thames Valley to mark the occasion. These included team building sessions from control staff at fire stations across the region, a formal anniversary lunch here at Newton Court. I remember some of you being here, and a 50-mile commemorative walk between the three counties in support of the firefighters' charity. On behalf of the Fire Authority, indeed our colleagues in Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everyone involved with the creation and continued operation of our fantastic fire control service. And Station 2, Station 1. On Monday the 12th of May, two firefighters, Martin Ainsworth, based at Newbury Fire Station, and Sean Foley, based at Wokingham Road Fire Station, completed the Station to Station Ultra Marathon in aid of raising money for the firefighters' charity. Starting early in the morning at Newbury Fire Station, the pair ran 58 miles across the county of Berkshire, visiting every single fire station. The marathon eventually finished at Maidenhead Fire Station at 8:51 p.m. So far, Martin and Sean have raised over £3,600 for the firefighters' charity. I'm sure members will join me in congratulating them both on this fantastic achievement. Thank you very much, members. Issues arising from the Audit and Governance Committee. No reports have been referred, so we note that. Questions from members understanding Order 30? None. Motions, voting the motion understanding Order 44? None. Thank you. Recommendation of committees. Recommendation note that the item 6 has been recommended from Audit and Governance Committee on 24th of March 2025. Item 16, we'll take it at item 16 then. Thank you. And then we have the annual appointment of committees, lead member, member champions, working parties and outside bodies. Pages 17 to 56. We have them, but do you want to read them? How do you want to take?
Thank you, Chair. I take members to page 17, which sets out the recommendation.
Yes.
The first of which is at 2.1. That's the nominations for seating the group leaders onto both the Audit and Governance Committee and the Management Committee. Chair, I have the authorities information, a list of those nominations, and I put those into the record. Onto the Audit and Governance Committee, we have the following nominations in terms of political groups. Councillors Nazir and Wee Hong, Jeffrey Drummond, Bello, Brown, Palmer, Benworth and Sati. And onto the Management Committee in terms of nominations for political groups. We have the following Councillors Brooke, Blundell, Shepherd Dubay, Verner, Gittins, Griffith, Ruller, Mackenzie Boyle, Smith. Chair, that's recommendation 2.1. And I can take, when that's agreed, I've got the recommendation 2.2.
Yes, indeed. That's fine. Take those now. Yeah.
So recommendation 2.2 is to appoint the ungroup members onto the management committee. The record, that's Councillors McAvoy and Taylor. Chair? Have to move on to recommendation.
Well, if you would, and then we'll take them as you wishes to in terms of voting.
So recommendation 2.3 is in respect of those appointments that merit special responsibility allowance matters. So they're set out in table 6, which is the 1. We obviously know the chair and the vice chair, chair of the authority, vice chair, and the audit and governance chair will be decided. We've got some decision leaders, that's already been agreed amongst the groups. The first item then, Chair, in terms of an appointment by this authority is finance lead. This has been populated and circulated in advance, and there is one nomination to be the finance lead for the coming year, and that's Councillor Brooks. I just need a seconder for that nomination.
Thank you.
And there are no other nominations for that role.
So take Councillor Werner as second.
I did, sorry, yes,
Thank you.
that's been seconded. Thank you. And there are no other nominations at that finance lead, so Councillor Brooks is duly appointed by some acclamation. The next role to be fulfilled is that of collaboration lead, and then one nomination, that's Councillor Simon Werner. Just need a seconder for that.
I'm happy to second that.
Councillor Werner's appointed by silent acclamation. The next role to be fulfilled is community risk management plan lead. There's one nomination, and that's Paul Gittins. Just need a seconder for that, Chair. Thank you. It's been seconded. Congratulations, Councillor Gittins, that you duly appointed. The next role to be fulfilled is strategic assets and sustainability lead. There's one nomination for that, and that's Councillor Russia. Page. And a seconder. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Duly appointed. Thank you. Next is the role of the quality, diversity, including and cultural development lead. One nomination received for that, Chair, and that's Councillor Griffith. Need a seconder. Griffith is duly appointed. Thank you. Next role is the community safety champion. One nomination, that's Councillor Jeffrey. Need a seconder. Thank you very much. Councillor Jeffrey is duly appointed. I think navigate these papers. One more decision to be fulfilled on table 6, and that is it. I think that concludes those actually, Chair. Sorry. That concludes that item, Chair. That's next set. Next set of recommendations, Chair, thank you, is at 2.4, which is to agree the nominations received for the appointments listed in page 7 to 10. Everything like that, papers together. So table 7, that's nominations, substantive appointments to the Thames Valley Fire Control Service through committee. 2 nominations for their substantive roles, Chair, and that's Councillors Brewer and Berner. Have those seconded? Second. There are 2 nominations and 2 posts, so those posts are duly appointed to. In terms of the substitute members, Chair, in terms of substitute members for Thames Valley Fire Control Joint Committee, there are 2 positions available and 3 nominations. The first nomination, councillor Pennyworth, if I can have a second for that. Councillor Paul Gittings. Second for that, thank you. Councillor Nazir, a second. Thank you. So could I have a show of hands? All those in favour of Councillor Pennyworth being appointed as a substitute member of the Joint Committee.
Ten.
All those in favour of Councillor Gittings being appointed as a substitute member?
Went wrong, didn't it? Okay.
All those in favour of Councillor Nazir being
11.
On the basis that Councillor Pennyworth received the fewest votes, those substitute positions will go to Councillor Gittings and Councillor Nazir. Next is appointments to the position of Local Government Association Fire Commission representative. In terms of the substantive appointment, it's just one nomination, that's Councillor Nazir to be the representative. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you. Councillor Nazir is appointed to the substantive position on the Fire Commission, and we need a substitute member into that position, and that it's one nomination, that's Councillor Gittings. Seconder for that. Councillor Gittings is the substitute for that position. That takes me to the final table, and that's honorary champion roles. There's one honorary champion role, and that is honorary armed forces champion. There's one nomination, that's Councillor Gresham Shepherd-Bay. Could I have a second for that? Thank you. Councillor Shepherd-Bay is duly appointed into that position. So in terms of the substantive recommendations, that
Okay. Did we miss our table?
I did miss out the working groups. Sorry. Thank you. So the table 8 is the working group appointments. There's a minimum of 3 members required. I have following nominations. 5 nominations: Councillors Pennyworth, Gittings, Brown, Brooks and Shepherd-Bay. Have a seconder for those, please. Thank you. Jen, we can take those points on that working group. The second working group, and that's another minimum of 3 members. That's the Estates Development and Sustainability Working Group. 3 nominations: Councillor Smith.
Sorry, I was hoping as well to nominate a new Councillor Palmer to that working party, if that's okay, because I think that's a minimum we're allowed to add extras.
Budget or the estates?
The estates.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, the estates. Yeah, yes.
Yes, so just for clarity, Councillors Smith, Bellow, Shepherd-Bay and Palmer have been nominated. If you could have a second for that. Thank you. Those positions are filled. And yes, forgive me, that takes us to the end of those substantive recommendations. On page 17, and there's just a final recommendation over me, page 18, which is to note the role descriptions.
Yeah. A lot of that was put in place by votes along the way. So what would you like me to do in terms of? I don't think I'm now asking.
Just to the only one that remains outstanding is to note those role descriptions, Chair.
Sensibly, then I will propose that we note the role descriptions. I'm looking for a seconder, Vice Chair.
Yes, thank you.
And then all those in favour of 2.5 noting the role descriptions, please show. Thanks very much. Your content?
Thank you, Chair. That concludes.
Straightforward.
You do the budget working party too.
We did. And you worked.
But it was, but
Our next item. After that. Page 57, members, which is the Members Handbook update and agenda fact consideration. Page 57. And we're being asked to agree to the amended standing orders. I will go through the amendments shortly. To agree the constitution have been reviewed on 30th of June to include a small amendment of the type, and again is also highlighted in the paperwork. We must consider giving their consent to democratic support to receive electronic agenda packs tomorrow. Further support the ICT strategy and efficiency and productivity plan approved by the Foreign Authority and make a major saving. Oh, a saving. £2,202.43. I would be very prescriptive. Indeed. So members, I'm looking to debate this. I'm looking for questions. I'm looking at comments. Councillor Owen Joe.
Well, thank you, thank you, Chairman. If we go to 2.3 on page 57, that each final authority member consider giving their consent to democratic support to receive electronic agendas, agenda packs from 1st of July 25 to further support the ICT strategy and efficiency. The comment I want to make is
your mic on, Councillor Jeffrey?
We haven't been supplied with one. I shall just speak with a loud voice.
No, but we are on. Recorded, it's being recorded.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. The point that I want to make is that as it's worded, I'm very content. I'm highly content with it, i.e. that members that are ICT proficient, receiving their agendas and their various other documentation purely over a computer screen, I have no problem with them doing it. I would only have a problem if those members that are not content with doing that were to be forbidden to receive documentation in paper, even at a saving of £2,203.43. I just think a little few coppers carved out of the budget to allow any member that wishes or needs to remain with a printed document to still be able to have it provided by the authority.
I'm grateful for that, Councillor Jeffrey. It explicitly does not state you can never have a paper copy. And I know Annie has put a lot of work into this. I think we are going to approve it. And then occasionally there may be a member or two, Annie, who says, I really do need this in paper form. This does not forbid that happening, exclude that from happening. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
We spend debate on. I think it's part of the issue, and obviously in our local authorities, we have a similar arrangement where we some people do have, request papers, things like planning, where you have massive, it's quite difficult to see. The one thing I'd say is there is an issue here about what sort of using connectivity while in here, which a couple of my members have raised, because some of us got laptops from our own councils. We haven't got them supplied by the Foreign Authority because of cost, fine. But it's just making sure that people who want to be electronic can connect in here on the proper way, especially for new members. That's what to be paperless, or they paperless meaning they can't see what's going on. You're not okay.
Legally, we're not able to say you can't have paper copies. And we're not saying that. We're asking you, if you read the resolution, to consider giving your consent. I'm looking for that consent in principle this evening. The agenda is not demanding that. You can sit on your hands. But if you generally believe this is in the right direction, I think it's helpful to Annie Pratt and the officers generally if we have some support for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to take these three separately. I'm going to go through the yellow highlights within the standing orders now, before I come back. 3.3, I'd like you to explain for us, Graham, because we're saying the authority may determine and shall normally be held in February, April and November. These are ordinary meetings. I presume that the AGM, budget meeting, is that not an ordinary meeting? And so that's a fourth. Because we've only got 3 meetings here now.
Chair, that's to distinguish the annual meeting. So you have the annual meeting, and
Yes.
then you have 3 additional ordinary meetings.
Okay.
And the intent behind this was, under the previous wording, it was prescriptive. So this gives a little bit more discretion to officers and the authority. So it will be 4 meetings. You have the annual meeting, which is in June, and then the other dates would normally be held in February, April, and November.
There was a possibility that we could go a whole quarter without having a meeting and then we'll be in contravention of this. This tidies that up. But did you want to come in, Councillor Brown?
I was just wondering why we can't have quarterly meetings, and to point out that actually there's quite a big gap between April and November for the ordinary meetings and November to February. I just wonder if we're going to have a logjam of business to deal with sometimes. Is that something?
No, I think you make a very good point. Of course, we have this evening's meeting and we do have business on this evening's meeting. But what I've said in the past, you may recall, is that if there were pressing business and we were moving towards a logjam, we would put another meeting in September, October. That was, calling an extra one, not special, just another meeting of Fire Authority is within our gift to do so. So I'm comfortable that February, April, end of June for the AGM and November makes sense. July, August, September, October is 4 months, Councillor Brown, I accept that. But we would put another one in if we believe it necessary. Generally supportive of that, thank you. Page 59, where the members given some consent for the Science to be transmitted, sending an electronic report to that address. That's a follow up to what we've seen already. On standing orders, again, come back to the ordinary meetings. I think that's really, apart from, I think there is a title change, is there not? Can I come to you, Annie?
Thank you, Chairman. So on page, I've lost my face from that.
No, it's easier if you got paper, Annie. You can just sorry.
Much easier in the picture.
Yeah.
We have a small amendment to a job title, which is an appendix B. And the authority are asked to agree that you have indeed reviewed the constitution and agreed to that small amendment.
Would you be so kind as tell us what page? It's page 92, I see. Yeah. So we have a Deputy Chief Executive, Director of Corporate Services.
Page 6 of the appendix.
Excellent. Yeah. Those are the changes. They're largely cosmetic and they synchronise with the recommendation we talked about. Members, I hope you're comfortable with that. Do we have any other points or comments? Okay. So I'm going to take them one at a time. 57. The first one, I'm proposing we agree the amended standing orders, Appendix A. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Vice Chair. All those in favour? Okay. I'm proposing we agree the Constitution has been reviewed and the only change is a small amendment made to job title as any described. Thank you. I'm proposing that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Shepherd-Bay. All those in favour? And then the consideration, I'm looking for a non-binding show of hands in principle that we give consent to Democratic Sport to receive electronic agenda packs on tomorrow to further support the ICT strategy and efficiency of productivity plan approved by the Fire Authority. All those in favour?
Bear with me.
Keep your hand up for us, please.
This is an enduro test.
Thank you. As I say, members, I'm grateful for that. It is non-binding per se, but it does give an indication to Annie and her team about how to go about sending these documents out. Thank you. Okay, that agreed then, we're on to the HMI CFRS update, page 95. Chief, are you going to introduce this?
No, this is for Angela is here.
Hello, Angela.
Introduce.
Welcome. Yes, indeed. With you then.
Yeah. So I'm presenting you today a report noting the findings from the 2024 inspection of Royal Berkshire Fire and Rescue Service by His Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services. Our report was published in April 2025, and you will have seen some changes in the grading, which now includes a new grade of adequate. In our 2022 report, we were graded as good across 3 areas. They've now extended the gradings up to 11. And this time we received 8 goods and 3 adequate. As mentioned in the report, HMI CFRS have stated that a reduction in grade, particularly from good to adequate, doesn't necessarily mean that there's been a reduction in performance, unless they've mentioned this in the report. The report summarised 3 main findings, which was the service continues to provide an effective prevention, protection and response service to the public, working well with other fire and rescue services and organisations such as police, local authorities and health providers. The service is working hard to transform its estate and technology and make sure staff are protected for work, which is supporting the service to improve its ways of working and provide a more efficient service to the public. Staff are proud to work for the service and feel able to raise concerns which are addressed appropriately as the service has a positive culture, looks after its people and supports them to put the community at the heart of what they do. The report's highlighted just 5 AFIs for us. These findings have been considered and a plan of action is attached in Appendix A for review. It should be noted that these risk areas were once already identified and as a result, plans were already in place to address these. Within the action plan, there is a column which indicates how we're going to be monitoring and ensuring our progress against the AFIs. Although not mentioned in the report, we have recently received information from HMI CFRS relating to the updated inspection methodology, which includes a number of changes, and we're reviewing and considering the impact of these changes. I ask that the Fire Authority note the findings in the report on the performance of Royal Berkshire Fire and Rescue Service and to approve the action plan to address the areas for improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. And although we've seen this before, we knew the results, we must not forget that this is a very good set of results. I was saying to the chief, the word adequate doesn't sound that good, does it? Somebody said you're adequate. Somebody said you're satisfactory. You go, all right, I'm satisfactory. Somebody is satisfied with me. But we say we're adequate in 3 areas. If they'd said required improvement, I think we'd have been asking some more questions. So this grading system could be better. This grading system is fairly adequate. You might want to tell HMI, HMI. But nevertheless, well done again to the service. Later, I will be asking for this table in page 96 to be added to the annual report. Because I think it is something lacking in the annual report that could improve it. Did you want to add anything in terms of remediation measures, the actions we're going to take in the areas for improvement?
Thanks, Chair. Only to say that they're obviously laid out in quite some detail in the report, but I think members should take comfort in the fact that none of the AFIs were a surprise to us as a service. In fact, prior to the inspection, we'd already got plans in place to work towards addressing the areas that were then identified subsequently by HMICFRS. So again, I think that plays back to their assessment that we are a self-aware organisation. We're very honest about our performance. We're also we're ambitious, but we're quite humble with it. So we probably don't always claim the success or the progress that we make. So I think I'll just kind of finish my part, Chair, if you don't mind, by thanking the officers who've worked incredibly hard, lead members and with member support. But I know there's a hell of a lot of hard work goes into this by the whole service, particularly the heads of service, the senior leadership team members and the directors, to make sure that we're on the right track against what is an increasingly challenging workload to focus on all of this. There is so much coming their way all the time that to deliver an objective performance or an objectively assessed performance like this is no mean feat as an organisation of this size. So I think it reflects really well on the service, on the way the service is run and governed, right from the top and moving authority right through to what we do on a day-to-day basis. So you should be very reassured about the direction of travel. So thank you to the officers and to the members.
Mr. Jeffrey, I think you had a question stroke comment. You need to.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Yes, I did. I really do accept your definition that adequate, if it was changed to the word satisfactory, might sort of not rub up the back of the neck quite so much. However, making best use of resources adequate, I don't find that's any major problem. Just slightly concerned on page 96. Responding to major and multi-agency incidents being adequate. I'm not really expecting some kind of deep response at this moment, but I wonder whether we could be stepped through at some point the kinds of things that HMRC were concerned about and the way in which we do intend to respond. So it is not meant to be a heavy comment at all, but it is just, that is the one area that makes me feel just slightly uncomfortable.
Probably actually address it quite straightforwardly, Councillor Jeffrey here. It's linked to the AFI related to fire survival guidance as incidents. So we have been incredibly diligent as a service. So there are several services around the country who have put in quite simple fixes to a Grenfell recommendation around how the information between callers, so people in properties, the fire control room and the incident ground, how that information flows to make sure that we can get firefighters to people who need to be removed from property or assisted out of property. That is more difficult than you imagine. We weren't satisfied as a service by putting in a very low level simplistic measure. So we've worked quite diligently to put in a bit more of a technical solution that is a little bit more robust and that we can rely on. So we've been through 3 iterations really of a system, because the first 2 attempts we tried we weren't satisfied with. That extended the time period into the inspection process. As the inspectors came in, we were running the second test on the 3rd system that we've now adopted. So it wasn't mature enough to satisfy HMICFRS that we got something embedded. So the action is there that we've done another exercise, but we're going to continue to roll that out. So we're quite confident that by the time we get inspected again, that will be in a good place. But arguably, already we've addressed the AFI. There is some more work to do in relation to how we manage that system because it's new, but we've already addressed it.
Thank you very much indeed.
Other comments, members? May I draw attention also that our assessment is good in terms of promoting the right values and culture. Culture is something that's become a concern across the service nationally. We are good at ensuring fairness and promoting diversity, getting the right people with the right skills. But as an organisation, not only in terms of our core competencies of responding to incidents, we have come out good in those, at the essence, the community of this service. And I think that's noteworthy. So I want to really like to end on that high, because I think it's commendable to all involved in the service, the senior management team, senior leadership team. You should feel very good. Yeah. Thank you very much. Are we noting this?
And there's an element to approve as well. So,
Oh, wow. 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 3 minutes of sitting on the decking with a glass of wine or something. Right. So we're asked to note the findings and approve the action. I'm happy to propose we note. Do I take 2 votes? Yeah, all together en bloc. We note and approve. I'm proposing Nazir as the seconder. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Right. The next one is the annual report, and that is on page 120. Are you introducing it then?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to present the annual report for 24-25 on pages 103 to 102 of your agenda packs. And apologies, members, there was a slight error on the cover sheet. Apologies, members, there was a slight error on the cover sheet. I'm pleased to present the annual report for 2024 to 2025 on pages 103 to 142 of your agenda packs. Apologies, members, there was a slight error on the cover sheet that was originally sent out, and this annual report summarises performance against the annual plan in 24-25, not in 2023-24. So, as well as summarising our performance as a service, our annual report highlights a number of achievements and challenges in delivering services for the people of Berkshire. Some of those key highlights in the past financial year include the recent inspection result, which we just discussed, where we saw the service achieve good across 8 areas out of the 11 inspected. The Fire Authority's programme of investment in the service's people, estates, training and equipment, including a new fire engines and ICT equipment, and the major developments of the Whitley Wood Training Centre. The launch of Royal Berkshire Fire and Rescue Sustainability Strategy, which aims to improve the service's efficiency whilst mitigating the impact it has on the environment. You can also read some more about some of the challenging incidents that the service has encountered during the past year, as well as our community engagement, improvements in contaminants management, increases to our provisions around maternity and adoption, and also our efforts to build our culture. So as part of our commitment to transparency following consideration by the Fire Authority, members are asked to note the annual report for publication on our website. Thank you.
Members. As I say, I would like us to add and amplify the inspection report, page 15, with the actual table.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. We're happy with this report. We are being asked to note it, but I'm actually suggesting a change here, which I'll hopefully be picking up. I'm happy to propose we note the annual report. Rochelle's having a second. And all those in favour. Good to you, and Annie, thank you very much. Nice piece of work. The annual report on governance, page 143. Next up. And we are again noting 3 items of the report, the members' allowances and the attendance record. So this is Annie again, you.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is to receive the recommendations from the Auditors and Governance Committee, which details the member attendance and allowances in 24-25. There are 3 parts to this report: to note the report, to note the members' allowances, and to note the attendance records of the Royal Berkshire Fire Authority members from the 1st of June 2024 through to the 1st of May 2025.
Members, it's straightforward. It is what it says on the bit of paper. I'll propose again. I'll look for a seconder. Vice Chair, are you happy
Yes,
to
I'll
second
come
on
to-
this one? It's helpful. All those in favour? Thank you. And then I'm on to Thames Valley Fire and Control Service annual report, page 157.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Good evening, members. I'll be presenting this paper on behalf of Tim Reddings, who is not here this evening, and he is our Senior Responsible Officer for Thames Valley Fire Control Service. And it provides the outgoing chairs, who happens to be Councillor Brewer, view for the year 24-25. Not taking the paper as read, but I will just draw your attention to some notable highlights. So from a performance perspective, the service continues to perform well. Positive performance in terms of port handling and mobilisation. The spend was within or less than 1% of the budget, and there has been a strong focus on staff wellbeing and engagement, which has helped to improve the staff retention, which has been an issue for a number of years, as well as reduce some short-term sickness. So notable activity looking back over that period. We had a significant hardware refresh. We were able to align to national operational guidance in terms of some of our policies and the way that we deliver the services. And we also, as the chair referenced in his opening remarks, marked the 10-year anniversary of that collaborative endeavour. And that concluded with a walk which raised £3,500 for Firefighters Charity. So looking ahead, it's fair to say that we have a significant undertaking in terms of multi-million-pound full system replacement that is scheduled for 28-29. Colleagues will be focused on delivering that very, very soon, with the first gateway or milestone being the full business case, which we anticipate being in December later this year. Thank you.
Before I take Councillor Jeffrey, I'm going to take Councillor Frewer and invite Councillor Ryan. They are the representatives. Councillor Frewer, first up, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just firstly, Chair, you mentioned the tragic events at Bicester. That's probably affected us in the control more, and because obviously our colleagues were involved in that day, terrible events of that day, and of course, obviously our 2 partner services were involved there as well. So it's kind of hit home to us quite a bit. As Mark says, we have achieved a lot. Got the new electronic system in place. We still face the challenge of getting a new command and control system. So, December 2028. I'm confident that we'll do it. I'm confident that it will be done. It's going to cost a lot of money, but when you take into account that having 3 services use the one control room, it saves approximately £1 million a year to each service. So that kind of makes you think a bit. Got some notes down, sorry. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a great idea. As you know, I did a myself years ago, and 20 years ago, to imagine that the control room would be administered by 3 different services would have been unthinkable in those days. But we've done it, we've managed it, and it's a great success, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Simon, anything to add?
No, I think you said it very eloquently. I mean, for me, I know that there were tensions when it was first set up, as there would be, because it's one of those kind of relationships, a bit like a marriage, really, isn't it? But I think the way it's settled in, so everybody seems to be working together and heading in the right direction, shows what can be achieved with a lot of goodwill and getting the constitution right in the first place to deal with those kind of issues. And then looking forward, it's going to be about getting changing the governance arrangements to bring them up to date on the basis that everyone does trust everybody else and there is agreement. So it's time to look at the sort of governance of it and work out how we can streamline it, how we have that trust and faith in each other.
Grateful to both of you for that, and over to you, Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. I don't think that the answers for and will find that I'm going to say anything that agrees with the points they're making. I'll make a specific comment. My own family have now benefited from this joint service twice. For me, once in Royal Berkshire, and for my elder daughter with her family in Buckinghamshire. And by golly, it worked well on those occasions. But the point that I really would like to make is that one of the things that is extremely interesting is that almost by accident, rather than by design, we have managed, the 3 forces together, the 3 brigades together, have managed to come up with a service which is actually expanding its capability. It's actually now able to do more than was probably dreamt of when it was first put together. And the integration of the operation of the 3 brigades together, I think that is something of which we can be genuinely proud, but also, as the residents of these 3 counties, can be very, very pleased, because I think it gives us an overall very much improved service. And I've got no problem about saving millions of pounds over a period of time either. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? With this then, would Councillor Frewer like to propose that we note the report?
Yes.
Councillor Werner, would you like to second? All those in favour? Voting the report. Thank you very much. Now on to the forward plan, I believe. On page 163 in landscape. 164, 165. Note. We need to vote on that. Minutes of standing committees, we note that they are available on the website. Then the date of the next meeting, the 22nd of September 2025. That means with your agreement, we'll close the meeting without a gavel. 7:29.
Who's got any gavel?